Hello everybody, welcome. This is Nico from Unicorn Riot. We're here live in Uptown, Minneapolis, where a few dozen folks have gathered here. There's going to be a march, a protest against the police violence that happened on the north side yesterday when the police were attempting to evict near North Encampment. So folks have gathered uptown and the rally will be starting very shortly, and we're here for that, and we'll see what happens. Again, yesterday, I'll be quiet for a minute. So again, yesterday, in attempts to serve an eviction on the longstanding near North Encampment over north, where a bunch of unhoused folks have been living for at least 6 months, I believe, through the winter. The police attempted to serve an eviction to that area. They were met by community defenders. Those community defenders actually stopped and prevented the police from from putting up enough tape to bring in the equipment to tear down the encampments and the tents. And so therefore, within that struggle of stopping the police were very violently reacting to the defenders. There were some scuffles and 5 people, I think, were arrested. A statement that they're handing out specifically says, I'll show it to you. The wind is out here a little bit, but Minneapolis police will always protect property and prey on people. It actually says, on March 18th, the Minneapolis Police Department came to terrorize the encampment at near North. Community members showed up in the early morning to defend the 20 primarily black and indigenous residents and their belongings, not trusting that MPD would ever allow residents to continue living on the abandoned lot. MPD viciously maced, punched, body slammed, forced knees onto necks, and possibly tranquilized community defenders, unjustly arresting 5 of them. That's what the statement says at this protest up here. At the end, at the backside of the statement, they actually have pictures from stills from videos that they took during the eviction attempt, and they actually call out specific officers that were involved. So they actually showcase police arrived armed at near North at 6:45, ready to eject residents from their homes using cans of mace, also referred to as their party cans, when talking to each other. One cop had to stop himself from skipping over to defenders while twirling a party can in his hand, asking his superior if they were authorized to use that's quotes. He retreated when someone called him out on his excitement at the possibility of macing people. By 7:15, MPD was brutalizing anyone who looked at them the wrong way. And so again, folks have gathered up here. There's a Minnesota Transit worker, I believe, that just walked by us. Well, folks have gathered up here. They're sort of spread out right now, and they're calling on Uptown to recognize what's happening. Uptown Minneapolis is a sort of a nicer, upper mobility, higher class neighborhood here in Minneapolis. So we'll see if the march gets going. In the meantime, we'll show you something else, as they also have more video on here, or more images on here from video that was captured by people who were there. It says on the left, this person dove to the ground face first, covering their eyes to avoid mace. The cop pulled them up by their hair and forcibly maced them directly in the eyes from less than 12 inches away. The middle image has Officer Alexandra Dubé. It says badge number 1617. Tried to hit defenders with her car. She currently has 7 complaints on her record that have been closed without discipline. And then the other picture on the right side is these officers kneeled on the neck of a black comrade while their head was hanging off the curb, seen in the first photo. So you can see that right here, them kneeling on the neck during, and this is, they say, during a trial for the murder of a black man by a knee on the neck. So they say this all happened because the police hate unhoused people. This is, we're reading from the paper again. Operate under a property over people mentality and find joy in harming marginalized communities. And then it gives a couple support links for people to support some of the folks that are actually at Near North and creating the environment at Near North to allow for the mutual aid and the encampment of the unhoused to be there. Again, so we are here at the transit station right now in Uptown, Minneapolis, and we'll show you transit officer right here who's like directing some of the buses. You see him talking into his little walkie-talkie. Now being nervous about being filmed. And so again, this is a main transit hub here in Uptown Minneapolis. We'll see where this march leads. But again, we are here in Uptown, over South Minneapolis, not too far from the Lake Calhoun, as well as the little strip that'll bring you to the suburbs, St. Louis Park. So that is the library up there. So again, there's been plenty of encampments throughout this last year. A lot of encampments raised themselves out of the uprising. You see a medic that was along with the protest is actually now treating a person who was over here just chilling. That's literally sort of what this crew of people is about. Mutual aid, helping people, getting people housed, getting people resources. And that's exactly sort of what's happening up here with these folks. Is these folks are the defenders, the mutual aid creators, and overall sympathizers with folks that are seeking some sort of a comfortable life. Try to relay some of the scene right here that we can see. That is like some kind of military plane, it looks like. So again, Calhoun Square is right up here. Calhoun Square, I think, has been renamed. Calhoun was a violently racist man in the history of Minnesota, as most places have been named after sort of violent racist settlers. People are now confronting a police vehicle that's come up the street. We're gonna check that out. So you hear the chant ACAB. So it's unclear if when folks, I believe folks are taking the street. Sort of unclear, but what they're doing for sure is they're bringing awareness to the situation that happened yesterday. Again, Near North Encampment was violently assaulted by Minneapolis police officers in their attempts to carry out an eviction order. They were unsuccessful in carrying out the eviction. So this last summer, when sort of like the streetcar scene hit the peak, there was sort of car shows right here off of Lagoon, Lake Street, Hennepin Ave, and there was a sort of like a mass shooting in the middle of summer last year. Again, when it comes to these types of violence from the city side, it's we're in the middle of a pandemic. There was a moment last year when people were able to get out and be around each other, and so that's sort of what happens sometimes. But again, right here is a protest in solidarity with unhoused folks and mutual aid creators. Let's get an image of this. It says fire, fire, gentrifier. So again, there's a few dozen folks, and they've assorted themselves out across the streets from each other and sort of taking up a lot of space here, Uptown Minneapolis off of Hennepin Ave. So you see this one, free all political prisoners. So there was 5 people arrested yesterday during their defense of the near north encampment. These folks are also calling those folks political prisoners, saying that they were unjustly arrested. Some of them have been charged with, I think, 4th degree assault charges on police officers for the scuffles that was happening. So again, this is in protest of the police's reaction to a houseless encampment that is actually supported very widely by the community on the north side. Hawthorne Neighborhood Association, which is it's in the neighborhood of Hawthorne, is fully behind the encampment. Tons of support. They have structures there. They have mutual aid giving out there. They have like housing for the houseless, essentially. Folks are able to live in tents, but and some other things. But a lot of people do not want to stay in the shelters where the city is like, well, we'll give you admission to this shelter, or we'll make sure you can get into that shelter. And a lot of the times what we're finding is the folks are saying that the shelters are either full, or they're not safe from COVID, or they'd rather just have their privacy rather than sleep right next to somebody's cot and not know if that person has COVID or not. And so there's a lot of different thoughts around the ability to exercise your own thought process when it comes to where you want to live and how you want to live. I'm going to show you this. See that fucking justice, fuck 12. You see, Uptown, they got some of these museum on the streets, little lanyards. Not a lanyard, I don't know what it would be called, placard. Shows some of the information about this area. They have it up and down Lake Street, not just Uptown. You get an image of this banner too. I believe they're gonna march soon. We will see though. I think this is exactly what the rally is called. No evictions on stolen land. Very organized up here. They have quite a few medics out here and quite a few security that's sort of making sure everything is okay. So we'll continue to follow this and see what happens. I'm pretty sure that people are not trying to speak right now. But we'll continue to try to ask people and see the temperature, gauge the temperature. So you hear the crowd, ACAB. I'll put out a feeler and see if anybody wants to chat, but I'm pretty sure right now we won't have any interviews. But we will have the opportunity to see what's happening. You see medic. Those are 2 of the medics. There's numerous other medics. There's 2 more, I'm not sure. That noise you hear of the countdown is actually this crosswalk. So again, if you are on, or not again, but if you are on, I think Facebook or YouTube allows you to go back in the stream. So if you want to go back in the stream and see some of what this flyer says, this flyer has all the information as to why people are here. It has images of some of the brutality that people faced yesterday during the attempt to evict the near north encampment. There's been statements put out by healthcare workers, I believe, as well as some other community folks banding together, calling on the city to not evict the near north encampment. So we'll, again, yesterday an eviction attempt was carried out on the near north encampment. If you want to know more information about that, go to people's Twitter. MNU Rising has a few videos up that showcase what happened. Twin Cities Camp Responder, I believe, is one of the other Twitter handles that has a lot of the information in terms of support for encampments and whatnot. Again, here is a transit officer. This action was put online, and so therefore this person is sort of probably ready because of that. I don't think transit supervisors normally are just here. We'll get some of this.
Organize against the state! This is fucking class war! Organize against the state! Hey! How do you spell fascist? GOP? How do you spell fascist? MPD! How do you spell fascist? MPD! How do you spell fascist? MPD! How do you spell fascist? MPD!
All right, you can grab that. Get this so I can hear. All right. You can talk about what happened at Near North. You can talk about encampments in general. I just want you to be able to speak. So, first of all, like, what is this? What brought you out right now?
I don't know if you guys remember, but when the uprising started, encampments were also being cleared as well as the uprisings. And then the state, I guess MPD, they kind of had tried to make it clear that we're not doing the encampments. It's the park police. They're the ones in charge of doing the evictions. We're not doing the evictions. That was a lie. They were partnering with the park police. So then now, come fast forward to Near North, it was only MPD there, come for the eviction. And then, Near North has been around for a few months now, since October. So yeah, and they've, built some incredible infrastructure to be able to keep warm from the elements. We just went through a polar vortex. They managed to get through that just fine, and then the state wanted to come through and disrupt what the community they built. So the community defenders weren't having that, and then it escalated, and Madaria Arredondo, the Minneapolis Police Department chief, went on a press conference and tried to. The community. I was appalled by seeing the community members attack my officers, and it was like videos clearly showed that it was the opposite. It was the community members that were inquiring about why the police were showing up to evict the encampment in the first place, and we were met with tear gas and just total indifference to our questions. So then, yeah, got brutalized. People got brutalized, and I don't know, man. It's a lot of gaslighting from our public officials and our politicians, our local ones, and nothing's getting done about this houseless problem. And it comes down to it's a lot of Band-Aids being slapped on wounds, but it's a surgical process that needs to start. And yeah, it needs to start ASAP. Yesterday.
Can you talk about the gaslighting? It seems consistent from the authorities at this point, to where even the safety issue or the violence issue, quotes on those words, are used as pretext to say that they want to quell whatever community thing that's happening. Can you talk about that a little bit more?
I'm sorry. So I'm sorry. What was so like how?
Yeah, a little bit further on the gaslighting, specifically on the encampment. So they're talking about, even for the encampment, it's there's pollution in the area, or it's a contaminated zone, or then there's fire hazards or whatever else. But like you said, none of this is addressing the issue. But can you also just talk about how the narration and the gaslighting is occurring?
The gaslighting is occurring by with they're framing it as there's like environmental hazards that prevents them from being able to live in that area that they've occupied. But also, like, they keep naming off the open beds and shelters. First of all, it's an inaccurate number most time when they throw out these numbers. Second of all, we can see there was a resident who is actually a spokesperson for Near North, and they said, like, when we get to these shelters, they have us under their thumb, and I'd rather risk hypothermia than going in there and dealing with the shelters than getting a bed at the shelter. So that's a lot of, they're giving out that narrative that those shelter beds are open. It's like, well, dude, no one wants to sit through the winter anywhere, in any city, let alone the polar vortex in Minnesota. So when they say, there's shelter beds open, people just choose to be homeless. And I hear a lot of people that parrot that narrative, and it's like, it's sad to just think people are like, just simple-minded to believe that people want to be outside. There's not a deeper problem than that, Yeah,
thank you for that. So you also mentioned early that right when you started talking, that the encampments were already getting sort of swept as the uprising was happening. Can you talk about since COVID, a lot of mutual aid has come from the community.
Absolutely.
To help out encampments, help out resource push, help out clothing, food, and also shelter. And so the police then started reacting to that. And then when the uprising happened, even more mutual aid happened from the community. Can you touch on some of what you saw this last year?
I think the uprising brought a great opportunity to shed light on a lot of problems that a lot of people have gone indifferent to, and not even just the uprising, COVID as well. But along with COVID, the uprising for sure just steamrolled a lot of people into a lot of different topics that they decided to dive into. Getting involved in some mutual aid groups. So then, the mutual aid the mutual aid spiked, and then a lot of our communities most vulnerable were getting help from a lot of different places. And then you're right. The state started targeting those mutual aid workers. It was a form of dual power, kind of a very minute form of dual power, and it was a threat, and they didn't like it. These community defenders or these mutual aid workers coming in and providing aid to them. It takes away the power that the police force have, or these nonprofits have, when they go in and they give out blankets or they give out these sandwiches or whatever. Well, they do that so they can go in and do soft evictions. None of these people want to leave from the places that they're at, that they've occupied, they've made home, they've made their community. And then when police forces and politicians and these nonprofits go in there with the blankets and these little trinkets, that allows them to go in there and do a soft eviction. Like, hey, it's time for you guys to go. And then it's like, hey, we got a relationship now. And it's like, no. So we go in there and we do our mutual aid. It's a different group. And we don't have an invested interest in trying to we just want to help. And then, that's a problem for them.
If you want to expand upon that, you can. But within that, I have a question of I know you're not a resident, right, specifically, but when it comes to residents that are affected, that are impacted, some of these residents, they are impacted by some of these things. When it comes to their opportunity to have their own voice, how important is that for you, maybe as a defender, to also accentuate that opportunity for them?
It's super important, man, because otherwise... It's super important, man, because otherwise you get nonprofits talking for people that are living the actual experience. And these nonprofit people, and even me as a defender, you know, I go to a house at night. So like, I'm not speaking for them. They should be speaking for themselves. It's not a nonprofit's job. It's not these politicians' job. It's not my job. It's their job. So that's very important. And highlighting when the media comes, they want to talk to the mutual aid workers, and it's like, no, talk to these guys. You get their narrative. It's not our narrative. It's their narrative. That's super important. That's super important.
I'll leave you the ability to get over here and check this out. But anything else you'd want to say?
International solidarity to everybody fighting the struggle, man. Stop line 3.
All right, thank you. Appreciate you.
Absolutely, man. Thank you.
Didn't want to steal him for further time. It looks like they're developing some ideas and plans here. Again, quick recap. We are here in Uptown, Minneapolis. There's a gathering for in response, a protest in response to the police violent eviction attempt on the near North Encampment over North Minneapolis. And people have gathered into a circle right now. They're going to try to decide what their next moves are. They might just be rallying real quick here, Uptown, and not moving around. They might be moving around. We'll see. So those flyers that you see in the front of the stream, if you want to go back in the stream, you can look at the flyers that were handed out. But people are handing out a lot of the flyers to traffic that's driving by to alert them as to what's happening and why people are out here. Again, it's a pretty large crowd, maybe 60, 70 people, 50 people. It looks like they're going to take the intersection here on Lagoon and head up in for 5 minutes or so. You see No Justice, No Street in reference to George Floyd Square.
Stand up, fight back!
When the unhoused are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
All cops are bastards! All cops are bastards! All cops are bastards! No justice, no street!
So they're handing out the flyers. This person took one and is now turning around. Goes Williams Bar, recently reopened.
Abolish the police! Abolish the police!
So again, this is a very main intersection here in Uptown, Minneapolis.
Abolish the
Hennepin and Lagoon. People are taking at least 5 minutes here, it looks like. Traffic is now going the other direction. Again, this is in response to the Minneapolis police violent eviction attempt on near North Encampment, which houses unhoused folks. Shelters unhoused folks. So again, nobody's on this side, or not again, but nobody's on this side because this is a one-way. We'll bring you around the circle again.
Organize against the state! California, get the fuck out. Housing is a human right! 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 Housing is a human right!
I'm with y'all. I just need to get through.
Just wait a minute. They're almost done.
Oh, what they doing?
A few more minutes, bro.
Put me on camera. I'm about to do some donuts.
All right, do it up.
Let me do some donuts.
You want to do some donuts?
Yeah. Hey, let me do some donuts right through the middle.
Scared the shit out of me.
We letting them do donuts? Up here? Okay. You could do it more. I'm do it in the center of this shit. We can clear this out for you.
So there's a person who's rolling up said he wanted to do. He said he wants to be on the news. He wanted to do some donuts in the center of the intersection. Folks aren't really trying to do that for safety measures. They're actually allowing some of this traffic to go through. They allowed this man in the U-Haul, or this person in the U-Haul, to go through. People are still taking the street again. Looks like they're maneuvering right now. A lot of support from the community here still. So as quickly as people took the intersection, they all dipped off and went back to the sidewalk.
You were like, no!
So again, people are here gathered in protest to the Minneapolis police violent eviction attempt near North Encampment. Community defenders actually sort of stopped the eviction. That's why it was an attempt. There was some scuffles. 5 people were arrested, people were hurt. So now cars are able to go. Again, people stopped at the intersection, took space at the intersection for about 5 minutes, handed out a bunch of flyers to show exactly why people are out here. They seem to be getting a lot of support from the community. Again, this is sort of a plush, upper mobility, higher scale community, Uptown Minneapolis. That doesn't mean that everybody doesn't support the Unhoused, though. And so you're seeing a lot of support for the Unhoused up here right now being displayed. I'll try to talk to somebody in a little second here. A few minutes. We'll see if anybody else will be talking. Might be a little hard. A lot of people are not really trying to speak on camera or on audio, but we will see. So yeah, right now people are just, I think, waiting for traffic to go by. Possibly they will be on the move or take the intersection again or take another intersection. But right now people are sort of just gathered on the corner here, Lagoon and Hennepin Avenue, and some of the banners are getting unfurled. No evictions on stolen land. The chant is back, ACAB, all cops are bastards. So that was no eviction on stolen land. This one says free all political prisoners. probably start talking. I don't know who this is, but this music might cut the copyright. So, this is Nico from Unicorn Riot. We are live here in Uptown, Minneapolis, here off of Lagoon and Hennepin Avenue, where a few dozen folks, maybe up to 50, have maybe 60, 70 total, have gathered out here to bring awareness and to protest against the police's incursion into near North Encampment and attempt to evict the encampment of unhoused folks that have been up since October, as we heard earlier. 5 people were arrested. No unhoused people were displaced, from my understanding. The intent of the eviction was to clear people from the street, clear people from that area, the area the city says is contaminated and polluted and has fire hazards and all these other things. Looks like the crowd is moving again. Hope. Say his name. So it looks like people might take the intersection here off a lake in Hennepin. Some more graffiti. You see people handing out a lot of the flyers still. See this person reading the flyer. It's getting a lot of support. They've been handing out these flyers. This states why people are here. You see this RIP Homie George Revolution with the love in the middle. Some graffiti up here, just spotlighting real quick. Unity, George Floyd's name.
All cops are bastards! All cops are bastards! All cops are bastards!
And it's a very, very busy intersection here off a lake in Looks like folks are taking the block right here.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
All cops are bastards! All cops are bastards! All cops are bastards!
So it looks like they got sort of two lines here. First line with the bikes, second line with the humans. And they're creating a line here on 31st as well.
All cops are bastards! All cops are bastards! All cops are bastards!
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Fuck 12! Fuck 12! Fuck 12!
The chant now is no cops, no prison, no total abolition. How you doing? You too. The chant is free the homies right now. There's 5 people that got locked up from their defending of the attempted camp eviction. Here goes the Metro Transit supervisor again, speaking to a bus driver. This is 6B, it goes up Hennepin over to Edina. So the people in Jute Salon were gifted some flyers, they're reading them. I don't know if it's Jute or it's just Aveda or both, but that's what it is.
No evictions on stolen land!
So the chant, no eviction of stolen land, fuck MPD, take a stand.
No evictions on stolen land! No evictions on stolen land! No evictions on stolen land!
People are calming them down. There's been so many times where cars have tried to drive through crowds of protests, and it's happened very, very often here in Minneapolis, St. Paul area, as well as across the country. People have actually died from other folks who have ran into them. Look at how fast people are getting off. People are getting off of the street very quickly.
Hey, let's get on the curb! You shouldn't die, bitch! All
So again, thank you all for tuning into this live stream. We're here Uptown, Minneapolis. That's the old Calhoun Square. It's been renamed to I don't know what. Doesn't have a name, yeah. Lake Calhoun been renamed. Calhoun Square has been renamed. A lot of these places are named after, again, as we said earlier, sort of white supremacist settlers who were very racist, and Jim Calhoun was not an exception. So it looks like folks are maneuvering themselves back down the sidewalk. There's been zero police presence. Zero. Some people, one person was screaming from a vehicle just a moment ago. Drew the ire of some of the folks in the crowd. You see there's a no justice, no street again. That's in reference to George Floyd Square. George Floyd Square has been threatened with eviction by the police and authorities, who they say, the authorities did a press conference last week and said that they would probably be utilizing federal agents' assistance for intelligence and charging of people. Last quick look at some of the graffiti here off of the corner of Hennepin and Lake Street. People are maneuvering themselves, as I said earlier, back down the sidewalk, and we'll see if the march and the shutdowns at its intersections continue. Again, this is why people are here. This flyer says it. Minneapolis police will always protect property, and prey on people. Somebody across the street showing solidarity. So a little bit earlier at this intersection, we did see a driver come through very quickly, rolling up to the blockade of humans, and people got scared a bit. And he stopped his car suddenly and got out and said, "I'm with y'all. Let me do some donuts in the intersection." And so actually, this is what happened. Some donuts were done in the intersection. So it looks like the crowd might be dispersing from here. If it is, continue to follow Unicorn Riot. We will have more on this eviction attempt. Again, there are videos that have been put up onto social media. TC Park Responder, MNU Rising. Both of those Twitter feeds have videos and other information in regards to Near North. Near North also has some of the folks at Near North have some social media. Check them out. NM Mutual Aid. That's at NM Mutual Aid. As well as TC Park Responder, MNU Rising, George Floyd Square, which is George Floyd SQ, TC_WDA, which is the Workers Defense Alliance, Whittier Cop Watch, which is WIT Cop Watch on here. Whittier's a neighborhood here in Minneapolis on the south side, not too far from here. TC_SolNet, SOLNET. Those are some of the Twitter accounts to follow in regards to this action here. Some of the ways to support residents directly on Cash App. It looks like Gina Malik, L Map, Mike Murch. On Venmo, you got Joe 2 times, Jojo, Jeannie Malik, Mendela Zaba -1, Mendela Zaba -1. Also on Cash App or something. Yeah, I think also on Cash App. Nightwolf 2021 and Sidetracked again. And then check out tinyurl.com/23Z3BEXT. And those are direct ways to understand exactly a little bit more what's going on here. Get some more clarity, get some more context, hear from the folks themselves. What we'll be doing in the next few days is also hearing from some of the North residents, the Near North residents, hearing about what they've gone through, what they've built, what the threats are now, and try to bring you that context in the next week or so, in the next few days, and continue to follow us for that, as well as more Derek Chauvin trial coverage. So again, Derek Chauvin trial is maneuvering at a pace to probably start with opening statements on the day that they were trying to start, March 29th. We'll listen to The Last Chance, possibly The Last Chance. All right, so again, people were bringing awareness to the attempted eviction. It's attempted eviction at Near North. It looks like everybody's wrapping up and calling it a night. This was an action, again, geared to show Uptown, to come to Uptown, where people are pretty comfortable living a nice life, and show them exactly what's happening with some of the unhoused communities and some of the defenders trying to help some of these unhoused communities. We heard from a defender earlier who was speaking a little bit about some of the realities that folks here in Minneapolis have faced. And in terms of police continuing to evade and evict some of these encampments. So continue to follow us at unicornride.ninja. We're on Twitter, Twitter, Instagram, Venmo, what the heck? Vimeo, YouTube. Just find us on the internet. You know? We're also at unicornride.ninja. Hey, there goes JoJo right here. Oh, it's not JoJo. What up, man? Long time.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, you know. Hanging out, working a little bit.
Word. All right, it's good to see you, man. Yeah. Huh? Sorry, man. All right, so we're gonna take this down. Continue to follow us again. Like I said, we will have more coverage from the Derek Chauvin trial, and tomorrow we will probably be live from Bemidji, where people are rallying to try to shut down Bemidji jail, where about 5 people have died in the past recent history. There's also that's sort of spurred on by Hardell Sherrill. There's been investigations into the Beltrami County jails and other jails across Minnesota and prison systems, and quite a lot has been found. KARE 11 has been doing an incredible job doing some investigating pieces, Brandon Stahl and some other folks, and continue watch that, because again, tomorrow we'll be live in Bemidji, and that story we've covered pretty extensively. A person who died in Beltrami County Jail in 2018, his name was Hardell Sherrill, and he was, I think, 27 years old, a father of 3, and he died from a disease, like a condition that sort of just attacked him, and all the jailers believed he was faking it, and basically it showed a lot of the racism within the medical institutions and also within the jailing. So that is not a singular incident, as well as George Floyd is not a singular incident, as well as Near North Encampment being raided is not a singular incident. A lot of people continue to point this back to the ailing conditions in the society, which sort of revolve around capitalism and revolve around white supremacy. So again, thank you all for joining. This is Nico from Unicorn Riot. What we saw again was a rally to support Near North Encampment and to protest the police's violent eviction attempt. We will continue to cover this story in a little bit further fashion with more context, probably with the article and some other interviews with some folks from the Near North Encampment themselves. Again, thank you all. Tune in to unicornriot.ninja is our website. Monday morning we'll be live again with the Chauvin trial. Saturday evening we'll be live in Bemidji, most likely. All right, you all have a good weekend. Stay masked up. Peace.